Hello, Immutables. It's Rubik here for episode 17 of GamersGalaxie, and with my boy WT. How are you, mate?
Good. How you doing? A big week for the Immutable X ecosystem.
Yeah, soon to be Immutable ZK EVM ecosystem. Wonder what they're going to call it then. They're going to get a new name because Immutable X is just the X blockchain, not ZK EVM. So yeah, wonder what they're going to call it. How they're going to encompass both in a name. But yeah, Immutable ecosystem soon.
I hope they don't change it too drastically. I kind of like just IMX. I've been my buddy Solemnly Swear came up with this tag a long time ago, and he put IMX just like it would be, and then he put cited, so I am excited. And
yeah,
I hope they don't change it much because I like using that hashtag. I hope they get the cool little symbol behind it too. Maybe I have to keep poking them to do it.
Yeah, well, Immutables had some big weeks a couple of weeks ago, nearly a month ago, and it has been a bit quiet about games. But you see that Robbie and Sorrow both announced that they signed 9 games in one day.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty big. So we're hopefully seeing a lot of more. That should mean the games are going up and up and up. And see lots more getting announced soon. But
That's
the ones we did find out. Sorry?
That's like almost half of what Ronan has total, but in one day. Oh, did I just take a shot at Ronan? Whoops.
It's a daily. It's a week. It's an episode of Currents. We've got to have a dig at the King of Gaming and all their Web3, minions. They've got a lot of Web3 minions. Got to admit that, but they've just got no games. So
right, exactly.
No good ones anyway. But anyway, we'll see. That could change, and I'm rooting for them to
absolutely
not to do well, and we always, it's just joking, isn't it, mate? So
yep.
But
I went for all the Web3 platforms out there, but if they're gonna take shots at or if they're gonna exclude IMX from the conversation, I'm gonna get a little cheeky, as you would say.
Yeah, it's just like they're like, we're the greatest in the world. Out of this chain and this chain and this chain, we are number one. But what about the one that is leading?
Right.
You conveniently leave that out of your lists. Anyway, it's been a bit of a weird one around partnerships this week. They have announced GensoKishi, which is do you know GensoKishi Online? Have you heard of it?
I have never heard of it until this week. It looks like it's big out of Japan.
Yeah, it looks like it was called something Night in the past. Let me find it.
Say it was going for like 15 years, and it got like an award from the government in Japan. I was like, what?
Yeah, it was called something Night, and that what it is ultimately is it looks like it's a rebrand, and using the same game and just putting an economy, a real world economy in there, with they're gonna have land, UGC, which is I had to work out what that UGC meant, but user generated content.
Mm-hmm.
It's mobile based. It's an MMORPG, so you can create skins and things like that, and things on your land, and create content just like the sandbox. So they're going for big. They're not going for small. And they've got the history, kind of like a Ragnarok or what's the other one, RuneScape, that people go on about all the time, like
right.
Kind of ain't old school stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What did you find out about it?
I see it's on that. I don't know if it's the older game, but they were on Google Play and Apple App Store. I seen the thing about they got some like fancy award from the government, which I just That one just baffled me. And then it's been around for a while. It's very popular in Japan. And yeah, it looks like they are coming into Web3, which seems to be the current theme lately for where this industry is shifting. Obviously, it's not full bore yet, but you can see some of the early stages of companies looking at and starting to get into this, which is what Robbie said recently on the Between Two Layers about all these half of the major game CEOs out there at least looking at, if not starting to put their toe into the waters of Web3.
Yeah. It's it's in the Asian market again, like where these Asian studios are really embracing Web3, and the users, the gamers, are more embracing it. I saw something like a game called Mir 4. I think it's Korean or Japanese. It's on the WeMix blockchain, and it's got like 600,000 monthly active users, or daily active users. Sorry, something like that, something huge, and millions of different players. So it's starting to crack it over there. And that's this kind of game is that roaming around the world in a communicative multiplayer game is what the Asian community really like and seem to embrace, like the Genso, and they like that name Genso. It was called Elemental Knights. That's what it is. I think you can play it now. Download it on App Store and on iOS.
I may have to go check that out. It does sound familiar. That tag, that game title, man, it does sound familiar. Like I've seen it before.
Yeah. Anyway, it looks like it's a big win for Immutable. Saw some of the people that normally stay quiet about Immutable. We know they're on Twitter and they make those claims that AVAX is the future of gaming or Ronin is the future of gaming, and then they do their news articles and they've got 25 pieces of news and not one thing about Immutable in it, even though they've won 10 games and things like that. Like that, no mention of AWS. So I saw two of them that never really say anything about Immutable mention this game. I was like, oh, okay, this might be a bigger game than what I thought. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, our buddy, he mentioned Immutable. He took another shot at him as usual. I don't know if you caught that this week.
Who? Paul Barron?
Yeah.
Man, I don't listen to that turkey, mate. Seriously. Yeah, I don't waste my time.
He took a shot this week, man. I was just like, what is with this guy dissing IMX all the time? I just don't get it. Like, I listen to this stuff, and I'm all cool about his constant shilling at Avalanche and Solana, and I like those projects. I'm rooting for them as well, but like he can't resist taking a shot at IMX.
Well, I hope he hasn't got a short out against them because they went up 50%, and just at
I seen that.
Hours,
yeah,
they went up 35% just 15, in 1 second, like boom, up from 50 to 60 to 75 cents. So, keep going.
Yeah.
Still before I get back in front.
I got my bag.
Yeah, a little one, not too big. If I was a shiller, I'd be going for Gala. I've got stupid amounts of Gala tokens I bought a node, and now that they're in that law case, I used to get 300 or 250 tokens a day from the node, and now something happened that they had to turn their own nodes off, and all of a sudden because there's more share to go around for everyone else, and I'm getting 700 now a day.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
So I've got. Yeah, so I'm going to join the team Classy, mate. Let's go.
I don't have time to keep up with everything, but like I've been hearing some big influencers thinking that Gal is going to come out of this and they're going to come out of this stronger. I don't know if it's true. I don't know much about it, but I've been hearing some positive things about it. So I'll keep rooting for that for you, just for the tokens that you're getting each day, because I want you to succeed as well.
Mate, their games suck though.
I know.
So I just did a bit of research. I bought a Legacy, the new game that just came out from them called Legacy, and it's just like this business sim game, and it's just so boring. And I just worked out at the time I bought it with my Gala tokens that I was making from nodes. Instead of just keeping those tokens. But then again, I guess they're worth nothing now. But at the time, they were worth 40 cents, and I spent 8,000 tokens to buy a legacy node, a legacy deed, just a common. So it's like $4,000 for the lowest level deed to play that game. I played it for
Yeah.
about 6 hours. 6 hours and like, what the hell?
There's a lot of those
What am I
stories
doing?
out there. I feel for you, man. I've got mine. I've got my oofs, as they call it out there as well. So looking at you, VXS, Wonder Quest, and a few others out there. But anyway, are we
Cool. Moving on.
mentioning Unioverse?
Yeah.
Right
So-
away. As soon as I seen that title, I thought of you because they have the word verse in it, and I was like, I bet Rubik just his eyes went fire when he seen that.
Well, GensoKishi, I was being a bit cheeky. Their Twitter handles Genso Meta.
Yes, I seen that too.
And they've got, and I was just trying to avoid that word verse and meta. Like, how many games can have the word verse and meta in it without for the creatives realize they're just not creative at all? Like, you know what I mean?
I hope nobody
Anyway,
ever makes that like a shot game because we'd be all drunk as heck.
Anyway, Unioverse. What's what we could do? You could come up with, like, sit around, get a Web3 game, sit around a circle and come up with a game title with the word meta or verse in it, a real one that exists. And if you can't come up with one, you have to shot.
Yep.
There's like 300, there's like 300-400.
Yeah.
So someone could, as long as someone gets a name, everyone else in the circle, if they can't come up with one, have to slug, and they could drink 300.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going with this, but they got 46,000 followers, so there's definitely some eyes on them, which is good to see. And is this the one that they have a comic based off it or something?
Yeah, like an IP where they're building like different transmedia it's kind of like their Space Nation thing.
Right.
And a lot of games are doing it because that's what makes sense for ownership in gaming. But they haven't been announced by Immutable or by them that I've seen. I did a bit of research. I got this news from Yoda Labs, who I sometimes do spaces. Shout out to Yoda for I know he listens sometimes, but this was on his article, and he linked to a news article that mentioned this partnership, and it probably is true because they're on Polygon. So, they could have made the decision to come over to Immutable instead of staying on Polygon ZK EVM on their own little island. So,
okay, very cool.
It's like a shooter. I think a third-person shooter, like Unreal 5 engine. Random Games apparently is a pretty good dev company, so with lots of experience. That's what Immutable got.
I looked at some of the gameplay. It reminded me a touch, not completely, but a touch of a New Ganymede kind of look to it.
Yeah, I think I like New Ganymede's little. That's what's happening with Unreal Engine 5, isn't it? That's they look pretty similar because they use the engine, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, moving on. Cursed Stone was announced by Game3.gg, the guys that are hosting those awards soon. Eliza, who's one of their representatives, story writers, employees, wrote a piece about 3 games building on Immutable and mentioned this Cursed Stone game. And Sorrow responded to her, but without saying that. This doesn't mean that he's saying that this definitely is a game, but he didn't correct them. So maybe it's true. And they normally get good information. They got inside information. They had a quote from Sorrow as well that was like very their interview style. So the thing is, Immutable in that game hasn't mentioned the announcement that they're joining forces. Just this. That's the only place I got the information from. And the good news is that, have you seen the graphics on it?
No, I had a hard time finding anything on this one besides that they were at a conference. It looks like they have some, I don't know if you want to call them toys or action figures or what, made about Cursed Stone. Looks like they have some cards, like physical cards that you can play with. So, they need to figure out something. I don't know if they need to hook up with AWS or what, but I can't get to their website. They got 3,300 people following them, so somebody's looking at them, but I did not get a chance to see the gameplay. What did you see any, or can you fill me in on it?
Yeah, I think it's done by Unreal Engine 5. It might be Unity, but it looks like it's Unreal Engine 5. It's a mobile MMO game similar to Genso.
Mm-hmm.
But the graphics are like more like you know that cartoon with the I don't know, like with the puppets that they're in a rocket, like a many very old like cartoon, not a cartoon, like a it's a TV show,
Yep.
like they look like puppets, like old puppets, you know, but without being puppets. You know what I mean? That's the graphic style. So I don't know how to explain that.
Actually,
So it's
I just found I didn't scroll down far enough on their Twitter, and I'm looking at it right now, and now I can see it, and yeah, I get the description you're given. So
yeah.
I was kind
If you
of
look at
bummed out when I couldn't get to their website, and I should have just went back to Twitter and scrolled down, but now I see it.
yeah, so the Brazilian developers, they are looks like mobile based as well potentially, and they actually going to have AR in their game as well. On a yeah, potentially AR as well as
Oh
part of it.
wow.
So, or that might be Genso. Actually, Genso is going to be AR. God, I'm getting confused here because all these games are the same. I'm going to start. I'm going to shut up and we're going to move on.
Yeah.
I hope I am wondering if this is the right game. She tagged the right game, because you know she mentioned Asian games. The three games she mentioned were Asian based games, and
Okay.
this one's Brazilian. This one's Brazilian,
Yep.
and the other two were Asian. So maybe this is a false alarm. So we'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, we'll have to watch this one. If we're giving you free advertising, you're welcome.
Well, everyone. Well, to be honest with you, everyone we talk about is free advertising. So.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point.
Um, yeah, and moving on from the partnerships this week, just Illuvium, the poster child of Immutable. You know, it is fast forwarding towards PvP. I've seen lots of things in Twitter and in their Discord and comments, and you know they just released that Illuvium. I don't know if you know the Illuvium Beyond, the collector game. You know that game, like like their NFTs, just their PFP collections.
I've heard about it. I keep my eye on Illuvium. This is tough for
Yeah,
me because this is the game that got away. I was literally in their Discord in February of 2021 when they were at the ground,
yeah,
and the video that they released back then, it really turned me off. I was like, I was being a fool, but I was like, if
no,
this
I
is
was
the
the same.
content they're putting out, I was like, this project's not going to make it. And I literally left and never looked back. And then, 6 months later, they're releasing stuff that is just amazing. And I was like, I missed the boat. And yeah, I keep
Yeah.
my eye on it. But man, this one stings every time I remember that I was there at the very beginning.
Yeah. So they've released something in partnership with Eth Lizards that is where you battle against other people to open discs or their packs or their boosters or their
Right.
loot boxes. They call them discs,
Mm-hmm.
and you open them, and whoever's got the highest stat wins the gets points for the leaderboard, and you're competing with people for opening discs on this really cool little gamified opening.
Right.
So and it's encouraging more sales. Heaps of people are doing it. They've got people that never even really played the game buying all these discs to go and to go and experience this gamification. Kind of clever, guys. But this is in preparation for PvP. It's coming very soon. They're playing it right now in the office in a very small amount of people. And I saw a tweet today about an influencer that's organizing these 6 or 7 people to be on a show and on this kind of new media thing about Illuvium. And like each day they're announcing someone that's going to be on this show. And I'm pretty certain that's going to be about PvP versing each other in Illuvium. So we might be finally starting to see, some the actual fun part of Illuvium. Even the auto battles are boring to me, but if you're playing against someone rather than the computer, that would be a little bit more interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm going to have
What about
to
you?
force myself. I have yet to play it yet, and I could have got a key a couple times to go and play it, and it just time constraints of everything that I do. I'm going to have to go play this and just bite the bullet and force myself, because I know when I'm playing it, I'm probably gonna like it, and I'm gonna be kicking myself even more. So,
Mm,
I think that's part of the draw of
well,
me not doing it yet, but I'm gonna force myself here soon, because it's one of the crown jewels that IMX is spotlighting, and rightfully so. And yeah, I need to play it so I can talk a little bit more intelligently about it.
do you know about the 3 games there is plus the collector game? So there's 4. Do you know about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I
What they
know
are?
it's
It's
several
like
different
the
games.
overworld. Yeah, the overworld where you catch like you're physically a character like New Ganymede. You're running around, but instead of fighting other people or zombies, you're looking for these illuvials to catch.
Yep.
And then when you catch them, they become a deck. And
Team fight
ultimately, there's like
tactics, right?
yeah, well, if you know Team Fight Tactics, you know what it is. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like paper rock scissors, but with 5 different affinities. And a couple other things in there. And you just place them on the board, and therefore they start battling. So
Yeah.
it's
Third.
it'll be
Go ahead.
yep. Yeah, it's just like I don't like those games. I played Dota, and Dota was the inventor of that game mode. They with Dota Underlords.
The,
Um, and and I played it and went, this is boring, and never played it. And that's an IP that I absolutely love. My whole entire online presence is named after a character from that game. So it's not. That's why I never invested in it or followed it too closely, because I thought it was just going to be the battle auto battler. And when I found
yeah.
out about the overworld, I was like, well, this is something I could play, even if I don't want to play the auto battler. I love that. It'd be fun catching them.
Yeah,
And
they've
then
come so far. You gotta give your hats off to them. They've come so far. Like when I first checked them out, it was just the TFT, and the graphics were really janky, and like it just didn't appeal to me at all. And like what they have now, it's completely different. The graphics have come so far along. It's definitely a polished game, and they look like they're going to be around for a while.
yep. And okay, so moving on, Illuvium PvP will be within before the end of November, 100%. I'd say in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, but moving on, Eyeball Pool announced that they were recipients of the AWS grant that was announced with Immutable's partnership with AWS in the credits we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
They have received a grant for the credits for Amazon, so
That's
it started.
awesome. That's very awesome.
Yeah.
I see that's like it looks like it's a different twist on the game of pool. Am I seeing that right?
I think it's just normal pool, but like there'd be different rule sets. What they are on, they're massive on the physics. They've built like almost real world physics into the game.
Mm-hmm.
So spinning and all that kind of stuff. So, where you hit the white ball, so you can leave the white ball in any position, how hard you hit it, all that kind of stuff. So it's not just the angle. It's the actual real world physics of pool of a
That's
snooker
cool.
table.
That's very
Yeah.
cool. I says tired of playing the same old pool game. I like their logo, man. I don't know what it is about their logo. It's basic, but I like it. And I was thinking that they were gonna. I don't know if they are or if they will, but like if they incorporate like maybe maybe they have the standard pool game, but if they incorporate some cool other little niche styles of pool that aren't out there, that could be very attractive. But yeah.
Mate, pool in Australia, you can go from one pub in the same town to another pub in the same town, and there's a completely different rule set for pool.
Oh, really?
And then if you go to a different state, you're 100% playing a different rule set. Like 2 shots, there's 2 shots. There's the one with just 8 balls, not 15. Like there's so many different types of pools in the world. With all little different rules here and there. Like there's a pool where you got to hit the numbers in order. Like down from whatever number it is, the highest number down to lowest number, and then hit the 8 in the end last. So it's like there's just so many different rules. So it'd be interesting to see what they come out with.
Yeah, very cool. Looking forward to
So
seeing
they had
that one.
a billion downloads in Web 2. It'd be interesting to see if they can convert that into Web 3.
Oh, very, very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, a billion downloads for their Web 2 version of the
Really?
game. And
Holy cow.
yeah,
That's incredible.
People don't understand how much Immutable is winning by, mate. They don't get it.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't have thought that by looking at what I'm looking at here, but it must be. I'm assuming they're based out of Australia.
No, Singapore.
Oh, okay.
It's a UK guy, I believe, that lives in Singapore. But yeah, he's I've had him on a space. And so we had a few private chats with the founder. Really nice guy and really passionate. They're building the engine up from scratch again. So the original game, they're not using the same engine. They're building the engine from scratch because they've got the money to do it. Anyway,
yeah, very cool. I might check this one out. I like basic games to play on the side, so I might. Not that this will be basic, but I like, pinball machine games and stuff like that on a browser. I've always enjoyed doing those just for a little bit of fun here and there, so I'll have to check this out.
mate, that's a good idea for a Web3 game on a mobile, isn't it? An actual pinball machine, and you play upright like the way you've got the actual pinball, and yeah. Someone's going to come out with that, and you can just keep on making new pinball tables over and over and over again, like just to make it unique. Interesting. You give me an idea. And last point before we get into our main topic of GOG and discussing the play test in the town hall. Lost glitches, very underrepresented or under-noticed. You don't see it being talked about in the Web3 space, but it's another TCG.
Right.
But their artwork, I just love their artwork. I've bought their cards in every drop. There's 6 drops and there's been 4 drops, unless I've forgotten, I have missed the last one. But for drop 5 and 6, and you get it. If you can participate by buying packs in the mint of the first 6 drops, you get a special NFT. So I'll do that. But they're now open, closed beta, but anyone can apply for it and get into it. So. Really cool art, very unique take. Lots of people that play it, that have played Gods Unchained and Parallel, say that they like Lost Glitches better than those 2 games, which are the 2 big ones. Yep, and I've seen lots of people say that.
Wow.
So I haven't played it. I actually haven't played it yet, even though I've got all these cards. So I'm going to give it a go.
What kind of culture do you think this is? Like cyberpunk-esque or...
Yeah.
Or more Borderlands? I kind of felt like Borderlands or cyberpunk combined or something. That's what I was kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And I know it's TCG,
cool.
Another TCG.
German. Yeah, I know. It's easier to make them, and that makes a lot of sense for TCGs.
Right.
But German, it's a German developer. They're massive. They're big. They're on Mutable X, not ZK-EVM. So right. Gas free, which makes sense. TCGs on a gas chain is just stupid. Even if it's 0.0001%, 1 cent, it's stupid. Just put it on. Cards are worth less than a cent.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's out now. You can get in and play it. There's a few other gameplay things out too. Kaizen they've got like a runner, like a timed runner sort of thing, like a what do they call it? Like only up game. Where you got to try and get from A to B point as fast as you can.
Right.
World Wide Web just had their second playtest, I think, with the new game mode. It went really well. Lots of people loved that game comments. So the gameplays are coming. Yeah.
Very cool.
All right. Are you ready to talk about
let me
the big one?
Let me stretch. This one's going to be a doozy here, I think. Big AMA. I'll be dissecting this part of the cast into a separate one because this is going to be a doozy. Probably the best AMA that I have heard out of Guild Guardians since I started. Almost 3 years ago now. Let's do this, brother.
Well, let's get the cat out of the bag.
Yeah,
huh?
Should we just get the elephant in the room right out there?
Is that the one I was meant to say? Elephant? Yeah, that was probably a better analogy, or whatever they call those things. Yeah, she's shock horror. GOG is delayed.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
Shock horror.
It's I'm sad and laughing at the same time because we were talking about this earlier. Like, this is kind of like the saga of Guild of Guardians, and I didn't even flinch when I heard it, to be honest with you, this time around.
Hey,
I didn't even flinch. I almost forgot about
They
it when
didn't.
I'm prepping for this today. I was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're delayed again. It's just like, yeah, business as usual. And I don't say that negatively. It's just like, I think we all
I had
kind
to
of
remind
knew.
you. I had to remind you that it was delayed, and we probably should tell people about it. That was
Yeah.
funny. That's what's happened to this game, and like we're laughing because I think we all wanted it to be delayed. We didn't want them to rush the game out. They changed the game, but all games are delayed, and then they said 8 months. Come on, the thing is, they reckon they could have got a game out, but that wasn't going to be successful. So is that really getting the game out? So it's
Right.
6 months as well. It's not like a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It's 6 months. And they'll delay again. It'll be a Q3 2024 release. I promise
Yeah,
you that.
I don't believe them. I don't believe them that they're coming out in Q2. And I don't say that to be mean. Games take a long time to make. It's just, that's it.
Yeah.
So I think I was more emotionally and mentally prepared for this delay because I think I kind of expected it subconsciously, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, we already knew. You're not getting me this time."
So there was no flack in the Discord as well. I heard. I didn't read it because I don't go read too much Discords anymore.
No.
I haven't got time.
No,
But,
and you know why?
that's the thing. I heard. Why?
Whoever
Nope.
is still here after all this time, you are either seriously messed up, including myself, or you are a hardcore holder. Nothing can shake you. That's it. Whoever's here, we went down with the Titanic, and we're sitting on the bottom just hanging out. We're gonna come back. There's something wrong with us. Probably we all need to go to a psychiatrist.
Yeah. Well, the staking was a bit of a mix up with the staking, and there was a comment about it's low priority, and that's why we're really, not probably putting enough time. They said they're not putting as much time into it as they probably should. Mate, all of us would just prefer them to take another month on the game and get us a decent staking dashboard that we know when we're staking's working. We can see the calculation. We can see that it's right. You know what I mean? Like it's just. I feel it's a lack of empathy for a customer in that decision. So anyway, well, that's another
I'm
subject.
mixed on that. I mean, they've said in the past, what do you want us to focus on, the game or the staking? And everyone said the game. But at the same time, like, the staking is not new. I mean, I've seen countless low budget indie projects come out with a much better staking platform than whatever this monstrosity is. I'm so numb to it now. Like, I don't even care. Like, I can't invest anything of myself anymore because I will just get angry. So I just pretend it's not even there anymore, and that's the only way I can cope with it. I don't know what they're doing. I know a lot of people are upset about it. Mythic Chef and several others have just like they're at their wits' end. I mean, they literally got the community looking through the spreadsheets now. I mean, it's like we're driving. It's like we're driving a Lamborghini, but the steering wheel is made out of aluminum foil for some reason, and nobody can figure out why. It's
anyway,
like, what the heck? I don't know. There's so many good things from this AMA. I don't want to go negative, so I'm going to shut up now.
No, well, that's the only two real negative things I've got to say. So I want to get them out the way. And I said, remember a year ago when they started staking, I said in the Discord, our Discord and their Discord, this is going to backfire on you not having a dashboard. It's so simple to put one in. And just to give the peace of mind to people to know that if they're qualified each week, just like your IMX one, it doesn't take that much effort. Like, yes, there is some kind of functions that you'll have to enter and different logic to calculate stuff and things like that, but it's not going to be that much of a difference of a calculator change, of a dashboard change that you're going to need 6 months to build it. It'll be 3 devs in a month at the max. Yeah. So it's come back to bite them.
How does IMX have their staking platform? But GOG can't have access to it. That one blows me away. Can you explain that to me from like a dev side?
I don't understand why they can't have access to the source code. Maybe because I don't know.
Okay.
You don't have. Yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. Like,
let's move on to something funner.
Yeah. So, but after all that, delays and waiting and staking problems. People love the game.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the engagement, mate.
18-hour average. I mean, like I said, if you're here still after everything, you are hardcore. Something wrong with you. You're a degenerate GOG fanatic, and we proved it. Average of 18 hours a day. I don't understand how. I was burned out at like 6 to 8 hours a day, but like got some crazy people just going at it. And I like what Chris Clay had to say about it. Was like, that's unhealthy. It's not sustainable for the game. It's bad for the game, and they want to tune it down to somewhere between 5 to 10 hours. I'm glad he's got that perspective. We mentioned it last time on the podcast about it's just way too much. People are going to burn out. They know it. It was obviously for testing purposes. So hats off to everyone on your 18-hour average. Woo!
I reckon they would have done more, mate. I couldn't play for the last 48 hours. Remember, I told you I wouldn't let me log in.
Right.
Yep. What I thought, because he mentioned, I'll talk about that later actually. But I thought maybe I've been like punished because I was doing a little bit of an exploit. I'll tell you about that later.
Oh,
Remind me during the curse. I thought, well, before I make too much of a fuss about it, maybe I've just been banned.
oh wow! I didn't know about
It's
that.
Not, but you have to keep listening to find out what I did. It wasn't that bad. I think everyone was doing it anyway. So
I wasn't.
found out.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there would have been more than 18 hours, I reckon, because I reckon it wasn't just me. Because I didn't get banned for exploitation because he mentioned it that lots of people were doing that. And so how many other people got blocked from playing the game for whatever reason and couldn't log in, and they're just not worried about logging in again and never said anything. I reckon they would have got way more engagement if there was no issues with logging in. So that's
interesting.
It'd be interesting to see if that was just an isolated thing for me. I'd be surprised.
Gotcha. Lots of changes. Looks like the crafting. I enjoyed the crafting this time around. I thought it was much better than the past. That being said, a lot of things that Chris Clay had talked about made a lot of sense. It wasn't as engaging or transformative as he wanted it to be, so I'm glad they're looking at that. They wanted more randomness, which I think is an essential part. Everyone makes the joke RNGesus, it really puts I don't want to say gambling. Gambling's a bad word, but it's just the luck factor. It really, you get on your heels wondering, all right, what am I going to get this time? And I think that's where he was pointing to things that are missing with crafting. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, it creates replayability. Like if you can get a better stat item from running this dungeon, Brimstone 2, even though you don't really need it for levels, then and you need the boots that get this stat, and the Brimstone has a 1 in 5 chance that you get to use the blacksmith, and that blacksmith has a 1 in 5 chance of giving you the boots that you want if you've got the materials to craft it. Then you know what I mean, like you can keep grinding that dungeon to get that item, but you need that item to actually. You need to, as a player, need to know that is an option. You know what I mean? Like you need to know that shoe is the best. I didn't know that, and that's what he mentioned as well. That it's not clear what is the best to the user,
right,
and that kind of stuff. So they need to. He understands that they need to build that in, make it more aware of what you can get, and more aware of the benefit of getting that for your class or your characters that you're using. So yeah,
I'll fully admit I was like, is it purple? Yes, okay, put it in. And then I did look at the stats a couple times, like trying to figure it out, but like I could not figure it out, and I was just like, oh well, it's purple, I'm putting it in. And I think that's what he was going towards. And he mentioned primary and secondary stats, making secondary stats more meaningful. And I also liked how he wanted it to be, you find some gear and maybe you're not going to wear it now, but you're going to tuck it away for another dungeon that you know it's going to be useful in, and adding that strategy element to where gear matters even if you're not going to use it all the time because you might need it for something else. I like that he's thinking along those terms, but he did mention that he didn't know if it was going to make it too micro intensive, I think is the right phrase, and they have to weigh that into effect also, because they are focused on quality of life as well. So where is that balance between having engaging equipment, but is it too much to where you're having to sink 18 hours a day into the game?
I think they level up too fast. So not that the level up power is the gear should be, the leveling up should be to enable you to attach the gear. And the gear should be the thing that gives you most of your power, not the levels.
Ah, okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so if you had that, then you can slow down the leveling up, and you can make it harder to get the right gear and create more replayability. And when you get that payoff, and you go, I need this boot that's got this power, so I can, get past level 100 in the endless dungeon. And you grind, and when you get that item, it's a payoff moment. It's that, wow, yes, I got it. All that grinding's worth it. But there's no payoff moment. It was what he meant for crafting. You just go, oh, it's purple, great, sweet.
Yep.
If you do it in the blacksmith, it's always purple. So, it was no payoff moment in the dungeon.
Yeah, and I think that also that whole concept of what we just talked about with the gear, I think it kind of spreads over similarly, maybe not exactly, into the runes and rooms. They're very close in word. Yeah. It's kind of the same concept. We need more of an impact, like what you were seeing with the gear. With the runes, it was like everybody. I know I did a majority of my runes. I was going for the higher crit and higher crit damage, and then when I got those up high enough, then I would start filling in with other things that I thought might be meaningful. But like, I think they want it to where all runes are meaningful depending where you're at, so there's a little bit more strategy involved. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's aware that that's just pretty meaningless, and he wants to make it more meaningful for what you choose, which makes sense. I mentioned the special rooms for runes, where you can choose like a special. You can only get them in those special rooms that can help you. You get the right one. That's again another payoff moment. If you're playing against, which boss you're coming up against, and you need the end boss of Brimstone, and you need to get the shielding rune, and there's 1 or 2 chances of getting it, or you need to be 50 levels higher, sort of thing. Like that kind of thing. So
yeah,
he knows you got. He knows you got. There's just no payoff moments in the game at all, other than.
Did you ever not go for the elite rooms?
Yeah, all the time.
You went for elite all the time.
No. Often I chose non-elite rooms based on. Like, especially if I was in that trying to get to the final boss, I didn't get my heroes at level. I didn't start for the first 48 hours. I was doing things wrong.
Right.
I was leveling up multiple heroes rather than just one set. I was doing lots of things wrong.
Right. So I found myself, I was trying to go for the elite rooms for the more points, but I'd be monitoring my health. So when I would get low on health with one of my characters, I would go to the lesser rooms to hopefully take less damage and have my heals go off to get my guy somewhat back to full health. And then when I get back to full health, then I would switch back to elite rooms. Or I would prepare like, okay, I know the boss is coming soon. This is a hard one for me. I'm going to take a couple lesser rooms so I can go full strength at the boss. That's kind of my strategy that I was using.
Yeah, I was using that too.
Okay.
So rooms. Also, I like the idea about. I've already mentioned to you the room choosing like choosing the strategy, like your composition and stuff like that. It needs to be a bit more fleshed out as well. And I would love it if they add more strategical placement of your heroes where they go in the struct, not just 2 or 3, 2 in the front and 3 in the line, like actual strategy, like kind of like Illuvium's border battle board, sort of a little bit more that way. But that may not. I don't think that's going to come. That's a little bit complicated. So we've already discussed that last week. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but he meant it more just a couple of little smaller, room decisions. Like, okay, there's these heroes. Like maybe have a menu of the kind of abilities that can come at you, the kind of affinities they've got, that you can put in your affinities, make different affinities to combat that. Like the paper rock scissors sort of stuff.
Yeah, he talked about it being more meaningful. Like when I seen an elite room, I didn't care which elite I went to. I was looking at what am I getting out of it. Like, am I getting gear that I can salvage to upgrade my gear later? Like in the later stages of the game, I was doing that. In the early stages, I was looking. I just need some gear. That I was looking at what I got out of it versus what the room was. There was no strategy to it, and I think he realizes that.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens there with those changes.
Yeah, one of the. Sorry, go ahead.
We're starting to realise that in real time, discussing this with you, why it's been delayed. Saying that they wanted to add more guilds into it and have an amazing release. There's just so much still to do to polish it, including like tweak. And these little polishes aren't just change it for a day. It can be weeks or months to test internal testing and tweak, try something, tweak, try something, tweak, try something. And then, but pushing code to push releases and stuff, it takes time. You got to get lots of stuff done. So it's going to be. That's why I think it's been delayed as well. Not just they wanted guilds in it, like they said.
Yeah, you mentioned that guilds adding for the release, and I think that's absolutely huge for the community, because that's been like one of the number one questions is like, what are we doing with guilds? And there was a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt about guilds having value, and now they've made it a point to come out and like actually say like, we want guilds to be involved at the launch, and we're not launching until that is going to happen. So that's a big positive sign for the guild NFTs that are out there.
Yeah. I'm excited about raiding. So,
yeah.
Like the game, I got excited about Guilty Guardians because of the raiding. I've played raiding MMORPGs since EverQuest in the 90s. So it's like, getting together with heaps of people, raiding isn't 4 or 5 people. Raiding is 10 plus. That's a raid, and that's coordinating the strategy, the satisfaction of conquering a content together as a team. There's just nothing better in gaming than that to me personally. The Americans, you just love the point the cursor over someone and pull the trigger. That's what you guys like, and we, us Australians, we've got more strategical brains than you Americans. We like to use it.
Yeah, we're pretty stupid over here.
You're supposed to pick up my dry sarcasm, and maybe I'm just not funny. I'll just stop the jokes. Stop the jokes. So I think it's a great decision to delay the game based primarily on the guilds and to get that right, and we'll find out in Q1 when they release the white paper. They said January, I think, but maybe let's just say let's give them Q1, March.
There was a release of white paper. Oh gosh, what was it for in January? But they did say repeatedly about a white paper coming out in December for a lot of things. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I think they might be doing what Nor did. The game Nor, they're building on Ethereum. I'm not sure if they're going to build on off sidechain.
Mm-hmm.
I hooked Nor up with Sorrow. Organised the founder of Nor and Sorrow to meet up. It was like coordinating them meeting up to discuss it. Maybe we might get, who knows? Nor might be unimmutable. That'd be amazing because I really like Brooks. But he's got a very interesting way. He's kind of like the left version of Jordan Peterson, the way he communicates.
I love Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I could listen to that guy talk all day.
Yeah, he uses too big a word for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, the
Leah.
What was I at? I was up to Nor for some reason.
Oh.
The white paper, they released their white paper in over like 6 months in tranches. Like, so you just got little bits of their white paper, So I think that's what it sounds like what GOG's doing.
Yeah. So if you could tell, I got Leah on the brain.
Why is that?
I thought you were done talking about that. So like I was looking at our list of things that we have to talk about, and Leah was just like the MVP, obviously, and everybody was talking about how powerful she was, and Chris referenced her as just being a monster and how much damage she was outputting. And yeah, he didn't quite say it, but he did say it. Yeah, she'll be getting nerfed. So they're going to look at all the Guardians, look at ones that were not as impactful. I know several out there that were just like, everybody was just trash. I'm like, this guy doesn't do anything. I think Arya was one of them. And there were several others. And so they're going to look at the whole enchilada, so to speak, of who needs some love, who needs to tone it down a bit. And Leah was a monster. I don't think you got any disagreements on that, or do you have any side comments about all that?
Yeah, I didn't really like. That's too much micromanagement for me. I'm really bad at this part of the game. Like, until I'm really engrossed in a game and I've got a goal to achieve. Like it was too late for me to understand that I needed to choose the right hero compositions before I like realized I wanted to. There was a goal for me to achieve. When I saw that last end boss and I really wanted to get up to him, and then I wanted to try and beat him, like I then started paying attention, and it was too late. I was already just sacked off all my heroes and only had 5 or 6 or 7. I had 7 heroes that were leveling, and I had 3. So, you know what I mean? I couldn't choose which heroes to put together to work out what I didn't look at the damage output or anything on like all the information that you can get on the damage output from your group. So, yeah, but obviously from just watching what was happening, Leah was just hitting that ulti. It was like everything died in a second. Boom, like push it, everything's dead.
Yep.
It's like I got her up to level 9, I believe. So yeah.
Yeah, I was only at 8 with her, and like Chris was saying that like she could solo a room by herself. Yeah, there was times my whole team would be dead, and I just have Leah, and I have her ultimate ready to go, and I was able to go a couple rooms with her by herself. So yeah, it was seen, it was noticed, and they will make changes on that. I'm almost guaranteeing that. So the other part that they talked about, which was part of the dungeons as well, and I really think this was a very nice addition, and they're talking about tweaking it and trying some other options. This one feels pretty close, the dungeon curses. I like it. They're talking about adding maybe a positive and a negative. I don't know if they should tinker with it a whole lot, because I really think it did the job of what it was supposed to do. Do you think they should tinker with it some more, or leave it alone, or what? How do you feel about these dungeon curses?
Well, this is the exploit. So I would just say, like, you could, before you chose what you could choose, I just put in one of the heroes that has no health or no levels or anything, level 1 hero that I've got in the dungeon, and then I would give it at minus 20% health, and I'm not going to use it anyway. So then you just swap. Then the next dungeon you swap everyone back in again.
I didn't know that. That's what he was talking about. I was wondering what he was talking about. I was like, what? Oh my gosh.
So actually it meant absolutely nothing to me, because I was just running the dungeon without them anyway.
I ate the curses nonstop. I took the curses on all the time.
Mate.
Oh no. Man, why I feel stupid.
Got so much further. You could have got way further.
Wow. All right. Yeah. Don't take gaming advice from me. I don't know what I'm doing.
It felt empty, because even if you got the curse, like to me, it felt like once you got to that power level of a room, that was it for you. It didn't matter what curse you had or what health you had or anything. Like I got up to 69, I think it was, and once I got there, it didn't matter how much health I had or no matter what anything was, they just died at that point.
Gotcha.
So, you know what I mean? Like, you got to make it that your performance makes the difference on how far you go, not just how high your levels are on your heroes. And the curses was just, you've already got a hard stop. The curses would just be that as well. So that's what they got to get right, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
That you choose not so much of a hectic curse, and not so much of a, and that your performance makes a difference, but that will hurt you a little bit.
Right.
We'll see. So we're up to. Well, there's a lot to talk about. Not even halfway through yet.
I know.
Chromas utility.
Oh yeah.
So people have been asking, can we get more power in the game from having special abilities? So heroes that you can, or champions or heroes, whatever they call, you can have. There's 4 different levels: common, rare, epic, and legendary. And then each one of those can be a warrior, an elite, or was it called a chroma or something? And they want special treatment for people that have the higher level ones. And is it chromas just the one of ones they're talking about, or they're talking about all of the high level ones?
The mythics are one of ones. All the rest, elite and warrior.
So chromas.
It has multiples.
Chromas encompasses all three level up.
Yeah, it's a
kind
different
of,
skin,
like,
basically.
okay.
It's a different skin.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's boy, we're gonna talk about this later, but alter. Hashtag GOG alter. My goodness, this is probably the biggest announcement out of the AMA.
What do you?
And it sounded like he was hinting that Chromas could potentially be utilizing that tool.
Ah, okay. Let's go back into that later then.
Yep.
But yeah, he said out of game benefit as well. So it sounds like you maybe some physical stuff.
Yeah.
From having them?
Events. I could see this. That's the beauty of the Web3 space. Like you can tie this to like so many things: physical, in-game stuff, events. I've seen it with Artifact and several other companies. If you hold this, show up here. Like they got something in California coming up. I can't make it, but I could if I could make it to California because I have a Clone X. I could go to this event and hang out and possibly win some shoes, like stuff like that. It's so many cool things you can do with this. But
Yeah, and then energy tokens. They talked about them as well.
This was very interesting.
Yeah,
Very
I liked
interesting.
it. If you own the energy token, you get the benefit. If you don't have an energy token, you can still get the benefit, but you got to pay on a limited time. So, like you get 3 months, you pay 20 GOG tokens, you get that benefit for 3 months. But if you own a token, you get it forever.
Yep.
That's a real smart like it doesn't mean people can either go and buy one off someone or they can pay it for each month. And we'll see if it gets up to millions of players, those tokens could be worth a lot.
I'm kind of split on this one. They have to introduce more energy tokens, and this is a whole new revamp, so I'm trying to forget the old, but I know a lot of people that stocked up on energy boosters, myself included. We believed energy boosters would be king in this game because the more you can play, the more you can get, earn, etc. So by them making it accessible early on, if they do, and that's a big if, it kind of can dilute the impact that energy boosters would have on a market. That being said, being permanent, depending on how they structure it, may be still very valuable. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I can see both sides of the coin on it, but yeah, they solve a problem with Web 2, and maybe they can tie that consumable that they're talking about to maybe you have to have GOG token to buy that consumable, which would generate value into the GOG token, which is one of their main focuses. So I'm a little mixed on this. I can see the pros, I can see the cons, but in general, hey, they're looking at it, and at the end of the day, at least they're looking at it.
Said it to you before, and many times before, that if you make a game where people have an inherent ability to win and someone else can't get that ability to win. So if someone gets an advantage to win in a computer game, if you go and play a shooter and someone, like for example, CSGO right now, and someone, because they have a token, gets double damage. So you have to hit them twice and they only have to hit you once. How many people that don't have that advantage? Or the person has to pay $10 a month to, so there's two scenarios. They can never, ever get that unless they go and buy the token that's now worth $10,000, so it's out of their range.
Right.
Or they have to pay a $10 a month, fee to have that token boost.
Right.
It's kind of like that in a way. You cannot not have everyone on an equal playing field because there's leaderboards. So if some people get the advantage to play more, you're going to set that us and them scenario, and people will not play the game. They will not play it. They'll just go, oh, this is bullshit. I'm not playing this game, and they'll leave.
Yeah.
So you can't. It's very tricky. It's very tricky for them what they do here.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially when the leaderboard matters. Especially for earning and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. If it didn't matter, it's like Clash of Clans and those stupid trophies that no one cares about. Well, some people do, but then it's different because it's not that big a deal. Like the trophy doesn't mean anything. But when you're earning real money or you're on a leaderboard for, and you're getting a disadvantage because of people paying money or having something you can't afford. I just think it's a really high risk thing for them to do. If they've got to think quite clearly, very carefully how they implement this.
Yeah, I think you're right. For the overall health and longevity of the game, this is probably the right move. And yeah, I'm in full agreement on that.
They probably should just make the energy token holders can create those consumables. You know,
It'd be
if they
cool.
can then.
It'd be cool if they tied in events to, like, you have to have a permanent energy booster to attend this event, or something like that in conjunction. Which we'll talk about that later with the esports. But like if they took certain NFTs, and I think they might do this with the founder NFTs, or energy boosters, kind of a founder NFT as well. Tie it into events, for the OGs, and give that some side value to where it doesn't hurt the total health of the game, but it still rewards those people that got them early.
Watch this space for energy tokens to see where it lands, I guess.
Yep. And speaking of health of the game, if without having this, there is no health of the game. App Store compliance. This is by far probably the biggest concern. I have asked this question many a time over the years. What is going on with Apple and Google? Are you going to be able to get this in App Store? And it's a huge issue. Without this, the game's dead. So they talked about this. Token transactions in app are not permitted. They're talking about the GOG token.
I didn't know that. I literally had no idea. I learned heaps about what their constraints are in this meeting.
Yeah.
I did not know you cannot use tokens to transact in the app. Unbelievable.
Yep. You can reward the tokens in app. That baffles me. You can't use them, but you can reward them. I mean, where's the line of acceptance there? I don't get that, but it is what it is. That's the rules. And then the big one is there's going to be a minting currency. This one, I was not ready for that. I was like, okay, so how does that work? And they explained it quite well. It's going to be tough to say if this is good or bad until we see it in play. But what's your thoughts on the minting currency? It's kind of a big deal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that makes sense actually, because you can reward people for holding the token and not selling it. So what they'll do is the way you earn that minting currency is through staking. So staking tokens. So if you sell your GOG tokens, you don't get as much minting currency, so you won't be able to make as many heroes. So it's going to stop people from selling and push the price up of. So still have this. It's actually going to be a better, because if people are just minting heroes, it's going back to immutable, and then immutable selling it. Yeah. So
Right.
whilst we're just holding it, and I've got heaps. I think I did the count of the total amount of staking points, and I'm like in the top 200 of holders of GOG.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to get a lot of tokens, minting currency, because of what he said is that you'll earn it through in-game achievements and staking your tokens. So it makes sense. It'll encourage people to hold, and no one will want to sell, which means they'll be harder to get hold of. And I think the price this is big. But if you use the token to buy it, someone gets it that wants to sell it.
Right.
I'm next.
I'm glad. I'm very glad, very happy that the app stores are going to allow what it is as it is, even though it might be a little different. Because without it, I think the game is in trouble. And they came out emphatically in this AMA, and their main concern is that token. They're obviously concerned about other things, but their main concern is about that token. And so that'll be the lifeblood as we have hoped for. So that's a good positive thing.
Yeah. They also, you mentioned in-game marketplace as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So probably Aqua will be the third-party contractor, I'd say, that's setting that up. But they also mentioned, how do they do? How can you not do token transactions? You can't do tokens for minting, but can you use a token to buy an NFT in an app?
I would
I don't
think
know.
so. I would think so. You cued me into the Aqua. I guess you said Gods and Chain uses it. I was wondering if they were going to go with IQ Protocol. It's another third party service that does in-game market stuff, and yeah, I'm kind of glad they're using the third party too, because that way they don't have to worry about it. They can focus more of their time on the game and all the other elements that they're working on, because they have a lot going on. So I don't have a problem with them using third party. I think it's good, and yeah, there's really not much to say about it except it's going to happen. And you know, I definitely hope that the in-game things that you can buy are in GOG token, and I have a feeling they will be, because again, their main focus is to making that GOG token have value.
Interesting. There's a lot of ambiguity around the token, wasn't there? Like how he said that this is all we're locked in. This is the facts. This is what we've locked in, and there's a lot more to come. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where it lands.
Yeah,
But
yeah, they were talking about that, and Chris brought it up about he's saying FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There's been a lot of games and NFT ecosystems that are really hardcore. Almost, they're not abandoning Web3, but they're just like, yeah, we're gonna really focus on Web2, and Web3 will be on the side. And I think a lot of people had that fear with GOG, and Chris put those to rest, that is not the case, and that I believe him, because it's IMX's focus, and this is a crown jewel of IMX, Guild of Guardians, and they're doing what they have to do compliance-wise to go after more volume, which we desperately need, but at the same time, they are going to be sticking to their Web3 principles as much as possible, and I like hearing that from him.
Yeah, he got a challenge there, didn't he? And then also, like, that ties into, I think that was a preparation for the next point that he made about marketing lingo, how it's going to be how he mentioned the United States, people absolutely hate NFTs. And, so when marketing there, they're going to use Web2 language. So don't fear, we are a Web3 game. We're a Web3 development company, and we're not abandoning that, but maybe you might hear some words that might sound like we're trying to not be a Web3 company, preempting that.
Yeah, I boy, when he was saying all this about, especially he was really calling out the West, the US, and I don't know if he's grew up here. I don't know if Chris knows how the US is. So if he does hear this, he's obviously much smarter than me, but when it comes to living in the U.S., I think I have a good dial on the pulse. And they're looking at trying to use different phrases and stuff to catch people's attention, to take the sting off of NFTs or scams and all that stuff. I'm just going to be flat out blunt here. We're pretty dumb here in the U.S. We've had it easy for a very, very long time, and you don't become resilient and self-thinking with decades and decades of soft, easy times. You become complacent. You become very sheep-like. You do what the TV tells you to do. So I'm going to use this example. We talked about this game the other week. It was it Guild Wars or War? What was that game we talked about last week? There was a game. Anyway, this game.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, what?
Skysverse or Denu Games?
No. It was a Web 2 game. They had a marketing campaign on the TV, right. And Kate Upton was their main spokesperson. I don't know if you know who Kate Upton is.
Game of War. Game of War.
I did not know what Game of War was, but I knew who Kate Upton was, and because she was on it, and she's a little light on the eyes if you didn't know, I was like,
I know who she is.
I'm gonna go check out this game, and this was a long time ago. And I went and checked out the game, and I played it for a while, and I got a little addicted to it. So while they might want to change the marketing message, I am telling you guys, it's not that complicated for here in the U.S. Get a good spokesperson that is hot and will catch your attention. I know it's probably out of their price range, but if they could afford Taylor Swift, that will do the job. I guarantee it. If the TV tells the masses, go do this, the masses here in the U.S. will go do it. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. I'm not like that, but I know a majority of this country is. So if you want to win the U.S., get something on TV, get somebody that is catchy, up and coming. Hopefully you can get a bargain on them, get them to promote your game, and you will lock in the U.S. that way. That's how I would go about it. Again, I'm not the smartest guy, and Chris probably is, but I know the U.S. We are dumb. All right,
Well, I think
I'm done
Chris
with my
is
rant there.
Chris is, I believe he's American. He moved to Australia anyway for this job with the middle. So
I just think it's much simpler. I think it's much simpler. I don't think you need to trick the U.S. I think you just need to come down to their level of IQ.
So Kate Upton, not Dylan Mulvaney.
Oh, yeah. That'll have the opposite effect. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that unless you're trying to... If you're shorting GOG hardcore and you want to do that, then yeah, go that way.
Yeah. Okay, so that's another point about the marketing is and tying that into the delay. You know, he did mention it that they're going to spend a lot of money on marketing. So he said the same amount of money as cost to build. And they've gone through 2 third-party companies and 3 years of development time and teams of 50 or 60. So multi-millions of dollars of investment in the marketing. So I think it's pretty smart. If they're going to invest that money into advertising and sucking people in, they want to make sure they've got people going to stick around. You know, like a game that will make people stick around.
That's been a huge complaint in the community is like, where's the marketing been? Where's the marketing been? I mean, that's been going on for years. And like what he said, boy, that was very bullish in my ears of like, they're talking with their stakeholders about this. So like, who knows how much money that they have soaked into this, and they're waiting for like the perfect shot. And I kind of like that. It's very strategic. It's smart on their part. And this isn't something they're taking lightly. And yeah, it coordinates with the delay. They want everything in order, ready to go. And I think when they feel that and they pull that trigger, I think we're going to be blown away with the marketing. And I'm super, super excited to see what they do, how they do it. They talked about bringing influencers into the mix. I could see an ad campaign over here in the U.S. Who knows what they're going to do? Maybe they already are planning to get in Taylor Swift. Or I know a couple years ago I talked about a Super Bowl ad, and that was, holy cow, was I wrong and very premature on that? But you never know. You never know. I never say never, and I'm excited to see the trigger pulled for this event of marketing and what it's going to look like. And yeah, my expectations are super high right now, if you can't tell.
Well, you know, you wouldn't advertise before you've got a product out. Like marketing happens after the game's out, not before in gaming. So maybe there's a small aspect of build up to the release date, but the actual advertisements, like right now, you see ads for Diablo. Like they came from like the day it was released, and it's still going now. Like, but you didn't see any adverts for Diablo too often before the game was out. Maybe one or two a couple of weeks before saying we're coming out, pre-order now, you know. So if you're not at that ready point to start cashing in with their marketing, then there's no point. So they should do it. If they're going to do a Super Bowl ad, it should be, you know, maybe when is the Super Bowl, in February?
Yeah first week of February normally.
So they should release in March, you know.
Yeah,
or release in February. So maybe we're not right timing because it's going to be middle of the year.
No, I brought that up to publicly eat some crow because I called for that like 2 years ago, and that was just absolutely crazy on my part. So I was just letting everyone know, yeah, I sucked at that call.
So moving on, we're getting towards the end. Esports, so there's no changes to them really. The esports heroes, people that, you know, they're going to still have competitions for them, specifically for esports based heroes. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. What did you pick up from the esports stuff?
Pretty much the same things. It's just they were reiterating that there's going to be special events for them. One or more esports would be required to participate in these events, and it's kind of what I alluded to, that I hope they do for like energy boosters, what they do for esports, to where it'll be an exclusive event that you can participate in for holding them. So really no big change. I still don't understand how esports teams are actually going to be involved in this, but that's kind of irrelevant at this time. So yeah, not much has really changed with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chris said he's going to do more AMAs, but also got quite touchy feely.
Yeah.
Like he's obviously under a lot of pressure, and I think learning to realize that you're a multi-game developer that's achieved so much in life. Magic the Gathering being one of the lead devs on that, designers on that. You created one of the greatest gaming IPs of all time. Not just computer game, an actual any game. And you've built other games. You've built Gods Unchained, the most successful card game on the Web3, and now you're on the precipice of delivering under so much pressure another game that's looks like it's going to be successful and be fun. Why on earth would you listen to a thing some basement dwelling loser that sits on Discord all day long says? Why would you even think for a second what like that they have any sway in this world whatsoever, mate? Like, grow like a thicker skin, Chris. Like, you've achieved so much in life, mate. Just blow it off, like laugh at them. And just realize there's assholes in this world. Look what's happening around the world right now. And wars are all over the place and stuff. Humans are evil. There's not many of us that aren't. And I'm going to claim that I'm not, but maybe I am. But, you just got to understand that you just focus on the things that are positive for you and what you like and ignore everything else. Otherwise, just thank you for building this game for us. The people like myself and WT really appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And those people, if I saw them, I'd slap in the face for you, mate.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm going to have a little bit different take on this. And I thought long and hard about this. Like, when I first heard it, I was just like, how does this affect you? With all the accomplishments that you've had and the position that you're in. But, not everybody's the same. And
yeah,
everybody's got their own personal things and the way they do things. I'm very different on a lot of things, and I don't like certain things, and just we're all unique individuals, and we gotta do what we gotta do to get through, and this is what he's requested, and it was very blunt. I appreciate his honesty, and I really started thinking about it last night. I started thinking about the former game lead, which I will not utter his name here, and probably never again for personal reasons. He was very. Sorry, go ahead.
I like him more than I like Paul Barron. The
Wow.
name that you shall never speak. I like him more than I like Paul Barron. So,
That's saying something. But the former game lead came off as very... He was professional, but almost like in a cold manner, and like almost...
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't want to say snob, because it wasn't snobbish, but like... I don't know how to explain it, but like with Chris, he's being very open and honest, and I appreciate that. And he just flat out said, look, I can't handle the negative criticism, and if he can't, he can't. And I'm imploring all Guardians that are still around, the bunch of us that are still around.
Can I correct you there?
Yeah.
He didn't say it wasn't negative criticism. It was, he says he's open to criticism. It was the way it's done with the nasty side of it. Yeah,
that's what I meant.
I just want to make sure that's, like, I know most people knew what you meant, but I want to make sure people that maybe didn't know that he did actually cover the point that he's open to feedback. But the people that are, what they're like, there's people that just like to say things and hurt you, and they get joy from causing pain. And I've learned over believe it or not, I used to get really upset with what people thought of me, and now I couldn't give two shits. And it's been a long time since I give a shit what people think of me. But some people don't, and like you said, so.
Yeah, he was talking about constructive criticism. Sorry, I should have made that more clear. So, yeah, he needs it from the Guardian community. So let's give Chris the respect that he's asked for. I know it's hard at times, especially considering the past, but we got to move on from the past. This is a revamp, and it's looking a whole lot better, and he's done an amazing job in the last couple of months. So he's earned some street cred, in my opinion, in the GOG community. So we got to put on the patience, man. We know what we hold, we know what's coming, and he's going to do the best job that he can. And I think he's earned that call for respect. And I want some more AMA, so yeah, let's give it to him. Let's get some more AMA so we can get more info and we can talk about this more. So I'm all about it.
I just hope there's no there's always going to be someone that wants to be be the anti-hero, you know what I mean, and just be an asshole and just ruin it for everyone. So like that, he's just got to understand that this isn't this is the world we live in, and most of us care about him and what he's doing for this game, and that's what matters.
Yep.
So hopefully can take that on board.
Yep.
Anyway, also said you didn't pick up on it,
No.
but
no, you gotta explain this to me.
So about 5 minutes from the end of the video that I watched, he started to play a video, and Ryan said, "Hey, Chris, can you pause? You got some crack?" And it was kind of like asking him, saying something bad about the sound.
Yeah.
And then they started talking and never played the video.
Oh.
So there was nothing wrong with the sound at all, in my opinion. So I think he was trying to say either we're not allowed to play this video yet, or let's not play it, or let's not. Let's not play it on.
I thought it was a real audio issue. I thought it was real.
His audio issue was a little bit crackly. It's like a little bit of a sound.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really bad. But I think one of two things. He wanted it to be way better quality when they released that video, or he wasn't supposed to release it today. And because he got into it, and then you could see the kind of awkward, silence and awkwardness for about 10 seconons after he said that.
Right.
And then they just went into talking about answering questions and finishing off.
I'm going to have to go back and watch that now.
But on the one they recorded on the GOG channel, about 120 minutes, I think it was, around there.
I'll go back and watch. Did you notice?
Six or seven.
Speaking of this real quick, I know we got to finish up here, but did you notice, Chris is quick-witted, man. He's got some funny things here and there. Did you hear him when he said something about ending you, and he caught himself? He's like, "Oh, I will end you." I was dying laughing when he said that. With the
didn't catch that part.
Yeah, he's got some quick wits to him, man. He made a pronunciation or he slightly misspoke, and he took it and he rolled it into something pretty funny about ending all of us, and he did an evil voice, and I that cracked me up. I thought it was, I don't know, little stuff like that I catch here and there, but I missed the one that you were talking about, so now I got to go back and check that out.
I was watching it at 1.5 speed, so maybe that's why I didn't. So it was an hour and a half, so I watched it in 45 minutes or 50 minutes, sort of thing. Maybe I missed some context there. So
this is the big dog next, man.
Yeah, this is one you've been really excited about. Tell me what your thoughts are on Alter.
The Alter.
What is it?
He unveiled this tool that's coming out. Wasn't a lot of stuff that we could see or understand completely about it, but basically from what he said, and he referenced this earlier with the Chromas, they have a tool now that they could in-house, this is how I read it or heard it, pull from other games in the ecosystem of IMX, and let's say, I'm just going to throw this out there, this is not any of the information I have, let's say you wanted to make a special axe, but in this axe you had to have component NFTs from GOG, component NFTs from Illuvium, component NFTs, let's say, from the Lost Glitches. And if you had all those NFTs in your wallet, you could go to the crafting station in the game and use Alter to make this special NFT that would be usable across GOG, Illuvium, and the Lost Glitches, if that's where those came from. And my mind exploded, because while this is not the same concept of virtual reality with Ready Player One, it is using Ready Player One-esque mechanics of all these games in one ecosystem, pulling from each other and incentivizing each other's economy, which in turn incentivizes the volume transactions on IMX. And it's like a self-sustaining, fulfilling loop under the umbrella of IMX with all their branches of all their games. And my mind exploded. It's like, oh my gosh, this is the potential of this, and how you can, if you got some NFTs that are not that valuable, now you can give them some value and something that nobody's seen coming. And I know it's a lot there. What's your response to all that?
Well, they said they've been building it for years, so and it's ready. So that's interesting. And that would mean that they were building it because it's not possible to do it on non-ZK EVM. I assume it must be on ZK EVM because to be able whatever they want to do to make it more have more utility or more functionality. Because we've talked about the limitations of Immutable X, but it's interesting. It's got a lot of it was only a little bit of information. It wasn't a lot.
No.
The interoperability is what I took about from it.
Yeah.
But also, excuse me, I've just had another thought. Remember that thing that around the Polygon announcement that they were announcing 4 new utilities for Immutables token?
I might have missed that.
Remember? You remember it. There was like 4 boxes, and one of them was ZK EVM gas, and another one was something else, and there was 2 more to come.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Remember those? And they said, then America had all that trouble with regulatory stuff, so they stopped it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty certain this is going to cost IMX token to use to make this, and therefore you're using another utility. But there must have been some kind of thing that they realized that maybe the player gets some benefit, or someone that created some uncertainty around legalities of where the tokens get used and how they get used and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they put it on hold. But I think this must maybe one of those things.
Wow.
Maybe.
Yeah, this is.
Do you think so? Do you think it might have been another use for the IMX?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the possibilities of this, of what they can do to incentivize the IMX token, or even like, let's say a game is struggling and they need a boost of funds somehow, and they want to incentive, let's say IMX. I'm just going to use Lost Glitches, for example. I'm not saying they're having a hard time. Let's say Lost Glitches is having a hard time, and IMX really thinks Lost Glitches is the future, and we need to apply some more funds their way somehow. They could maybe make their own personal token if they had one, and I'm using just speculation here, in the mix instead of IMX for a while. I mean, I don't know all the details, so I'm just wild guessing here, but I think they could move things around to focus fire more volume towards things to give them the boost they need to get over the hump to get to the deadline that they want to get to. This just blows my mind. I know I'm all over the place here. My mind runs wild when I think about this, what it could possibly do.
Yeah, it could be like burning as well, burning things.
Yeah.
Like creating opportunities to, and they could make it that, tokens, like the games developer can benefit from doing it as well, so there's incentives there. So there's a lot. I've never heard of it, like anyone else doing anything like this, but it makes a lot. If it's just another thing that would be like another selling point for the BD team to say, and by the way, we have this altar thing that encourages sales.
Yeah.
And here's an example of how Illuvium, Guild of Guardians, and Gods Unchained created a cross game, cross IP, NFT, and this is why they did it, and it made you this much money, and made us this much money, and made the player get their items.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear Paul Barron's breakdown on this altar thing. Because I'm sure he's going to be all over it. Oh, did I just take a shot at Paul Barron? Oops.
Good old Paul.
This is good stuff, man. This was by far the biggest thing. I mean, this was a great AMA, but this altar thing, oh my gosh! And I just sorry, go ahead.
Let's go back to Paul Barron. So wasn't the last video where we talked about him when he made a video? He talked about how Immutable doesn't have interoperability.
Yeah,
something that wasn't that. So yeah, so like how's he going to spin? How's he going to spin this grift to be a negative instead of a positive?
There's some.
I hope he was.
Sorry, go ahead.
I hope he wasn't short IMX tokens this week.
Yeah, I know. I hope he was, because he's been pretty cold towards them, and he deserves it. But yeah, man, great AMA. The biggest takeaway besides altar I got out of this was everyone just be patient. What I have seen out of this AMA and everything in the last 3-4 months here with Chris being here, Guild of Guardians is probably, if not the most, I wouldn't say the most important thing. I would say top top 3 most important things in IMX's mind right now. I think IMX is all in on Guild of Guardians. I think they need Guild of Guardians to succeed, and they are pushing so hard for this right now. So I think we just need to be patient. I think it's coming. This is a big deal for IMX, and since that's a big deal for them, I think it's nothing but positives for the future. We just got to hang in there.
Yeah, I think it's big for IMX because of how much they've dropped the ball on it up until it, to date. There's so many, every day there seems to be things that go wrong, like delay, and we talked about delay in the staking, then separately, different to the AMA or the town hall, the staking today, like how they got that wrong, and they've got to get it right for the reason, to my opinion, to be like, for their IP of games, because this isn't the last game they want to build. They want to, I'm sure they want to be the Blizzard of the future. You know what I mean? And if they don't get this right and make it successful, then they'll lose the audience that they've built up, which is pretty big in the GOG community. There's thousands of people that are waiting for this game, which is pretty big for Web3 for a game that's not out. And that's their core that supports them across Gods Unchained, is on Twitter. The ones that are spreading the lighting the fire, and for that reason, I think it's got to be big. Financially, I don't think it's going to be a problem if it doesn't succeed. They've got so many games building on them that all they need is one to be a massive hit, and they'll be fine because it'll send the token to the moon. If they make a World of Warcraft or a CS:GO and release it, and it's not their game, for example, Ember Sword, I think that game's got a huge chance of being a multi-million person player game. Just the fact that they've got a game with 3-4 million gamers on it, it's on the passport, it's network effects, that will create token price, which they can sell. So from a financial reason, I don't think they need GOG to be like directly be successful, but from a credibility and make sure the ship, to show that they can ride the ship and create momentum, 100% they need to be successful with it.
Yeah,
sorry about rant.
No, it's fine. I think it's more because they succeeded in making a successful trading card game. And from my understanding of what you've told me, trading card games, there's so many of them because it just fits the model. It's the easy layup. With GOG, it's a different genre of game. So this is their second attempt at a game genre different than trading card game, or their first attempt, sorry. And if they can be successful here, they don't want to be just a platform for games to come to and have a easy marketplace and tools in place. They also want to be a publisher. And so if they can prove that, yeah, we've done it with this, now we've done it with this, that's 2 feathers in their hat. So now they've got even more credibility. And so the next, whatever venture they go next, whether it's an FPS or an MMO, they've got a backing of history of being a credible publisher. And it's that important to them because it'll distinguish them from the rest of the networks out there. And this isn't to knock the other networks. I hope they succeed well, but like they're putting feathers in place in their cap that other networks don't have, so they can be different. They can be unique, which will hopefully in turn draw more volume to their platform. That's what I think this is about.
Yeah. I think they're in the right hands. If they can, Chris can just realize this isn't the end of the world of it. That he's got the skills and he's got the support of most people. Will be. I think it's going to be pretty successful. It was the best town hall they've had.
Yeah, agreed.
It was good information, spoken at the right pacing, and yeah.
I think we got it all. That was a lot, I know. Anything else?
On GOG, no. We're going to be waiting for another 8 to 9 months. So let's get back to waiting, get back to staking.
Yeah,
and hoping that we qualified.
I won't be surprised with another delay, and to be honest with you, I won't even be upset. I won't be upset. I feel it's weird after everything I somehow, some way, after everything, feel better now than I did before, and I can't even explain it. It's like it doesn't even make sense to me, but I do. I feel better, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think that's all we got for today, isn't it? Really.
That was a lot.
I'm going to be a bit busy on Monday. Your Sunday. My wife is giving birth to our son, to our firstborn.
Looking forward to it for you. Congratulations. I hope everything goes all well, and keep me in the loop. I can't wait to see what you bring into this world.
Yeah, me too. And yeah, it might mean we're out for a week, so before we record again. But yeah, that we'll see. I've got a couple of days off work, so who knows? Maybe I'll have the time to prepare for a show on the weekend still. Thanks for a great show, mate. I enjoyed that one, and thanks everyone for listening. And that's the wrap for today. We'll see you next time.